Hello, welcome to Sports Science Excel. Thank you for tuning into this episode. This is episode 2, part 2. If you missed part 1, the last video went over how to name a list, and we talked about the name manager and how to edit the range for that list. And we also learned how to create a drop-down list through data validation. So today we're going to learn how to make those lists dynamic, and we're going to talk about the indirect function. Okay, so to start off, we can see we've created this drop-down list from the list of athlete names. You can also see that Steven's name down here at the bottom is not present. That's because our list has a range that includes these cells. So as I add to the list, it's not dynamic. It's not automatically updating. Okay, so we're going to learn how to fix that. And to start, I'm just going to make sure I'm clicked within this range, and I'm going to select the Insert tab, Table, and now you can see over here these little dotted lines. This is highlighting the data range for our table. And I asked, does my table have headers? Yes. So keep that box checked. Select OK. Now we just created a table for athlete names. So I'm going to come over. I'm actually going to rename this. So I'm going to highlight all these cells under the header of the table. And I'm just going to call this athlete names 1. I'm going to edit this to make sure it's pulling from athlete list _ athlete names 1. So I'm going to select data validation. I'm just going to add a 1 there. Hit enter. Okay, so now we can see Steven's name is there. So now let's add Steve. See what happens. There we go. Automatically updating. This means that this is now dynamic, and we don't have to go through and manually update the cell range every time we add to the list. So hope that helps. And now let's see. Just gonna add a 1 there, clean it up, make it consistent across the board. Okay, now let's talk about, now that we know how to make our list dynamic, now I want to move on to indirect function. So you can see I added these categories down here. This is category. This is referring to these headers here, different exercise categories. And this is a simplified version. It's just real basic exercises within each one of these categories. And then we have exercise, which is referring to these here, okay? So now, since last episode, we talked about how to name a list. I went through and everything's already named, and you can see this is named headers. Then if you highlight these exercises, this is push horizontal, which is there. These would be push vertical, and so forth, okay, for the rest of these columns. So now I'm going to click in the category cell. I'm going to select data, the data tab, validation, list. I'm going to hit the F3 for the shortcut key, pull up all of these lists that I've created, and I'm going to select headers. Okay. So now you can see this drop-down list includes all of the headers for these different exercise categories. So I'm just going to select push horizontal there. So now in the exercise cell, I'm going to make sure that's highlighted. Again, go to data, validation, and I'm going to select list, and we're going to use the indirect function. So I'm going to hit equals indirect parenthesis, and then I'm going to select this cell that has all of the headers for each category. Okay, close parenthesis, enter, enter. So now when I select this drop down, you can see it only includes exercises from the category that's selected, right now being push horizontal. If I change that to push vertical, Here, let's do this. So, okay. If I change that to push vertical, then the exercises that pull up in the exercise drop down include exercises from the push vertical. Okay. So pretty neat way to organize your template and be able to, choose the category that you want to focus on, and then the exercises that you have listed beneath each category. So again, these named ranges over here, they're not dynamic. I could go through and make this a table just as I did here. That way, every time I add or take away from the list, it's going to automatically update. So I hope you learned something from this episode. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next video.